Hey, what's up, everybody? So this question is, what does a United States House Representative actually do? As a young voter, why should I even care about this position? uh, yeah, I love the question. Um, what does a U.S. House Representative actually do? So you know, our Congress is separated into two chambers, like the House of Representatives and the Senate. And within those two chambers, we attempt to pass laws um, that impact Americans. And as a United States representative, you represent voting districts. So my district in Minnesota is District 3. So essentially, I am tasked to be the eyes, the ears, the voice of the people in my district, and come together with other members of the House of Representatives with the idea that we are going to pass laws that will help Americans and help our constituents. And, obviously every state has a different sort of voter makeup, which is why, some states typically vote for Republicans and some vote for Democrats. I mean, even in the state of Minnesota, we're a purple state, meaning, we have certain districts that traditionally vote Republican and other districts who traditionally vote Democrat. Um, when the current incumbent of my district that I'm going against, Dean Phillips, won in 2018, like he defeated a Republican who had been in office for 10 years. So that's pretty impressive, right? Whenever you're able to turn a seat that has been traditionally red or blue into the other party, that's an impressive feat. Now, the other part of the question is, as a voter, why should I care? Why should I show up to vote for somebody who's running, um, to be a member of the United States House of Representatives? And that's a good question. And I think it's a very appropriate question considering the fact that only 20% of the voters in between the age of 18 to 35 decided to show up to vote for the Democratic primary in the states that had votes before the outbreak of COVID-19. And so I think the conclusion that you can draw from that is, if there's not a compelling candidate, then I think a lot of people stay at home. So if you're asking why you should care, um, I think it depends on whether or not you have a candidate that moves you. So, if I was like a boring, old white dude trying to convince you to come out and vote as a young American, um, yeah, I don't think that I could provide a convincing response to you. My personal response is, you should come out to vote for me because I can represent your values and I can represent your current way of life, and I will continue to work towards making your life better by addressing issues pertinent to you as a young American who would much rather have an ally as their congressman as opposed to somebody who is like your current representative Dean Phillips, who comes from money and doesn't understand your current struggle or your issues that you're faced with right now as a young aspiring middle class Minnesotan. So I do think that there is a challenge right now across the entire country to convince voters to show up to vote for congressional candidates. And I think the main reason that people don't is because the candidates are lame. Now, am I saying that I am not lame? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. And yeah, I mean, I do think that there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, if I worked for the Democratic Party and I was tasked to represent the Democratic candidate in a voting district that was 70-year-old white guy who was wealthy and well connected, and I was trying to pitch young people to show up to vote for him, I wouldn't be able to do it. But if you have a candidate in your district that sounds like somebody that you would want to have beers with, then I think you don't have anything to lose, right? You have everything to gain. And I feel like the reason that we're not making progress at the rate that we need to be making progress is that we don't have enough young, interesting candidates, young progressive candidates who, pass the eye test or pass the auditory test to get young voters or voters in general interested in participating in the vote. So I think you should register to vote if you're stoked about your candidate. And if you're in my district, I'm going to work super hard to get you stoked about what our camp represents and what we can do to help you out. I hope that answers your question. All right, cheers.